I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At Thursday's Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing, Senator Tom Carper questioned David Pekoske, the nominee to lead the TSA. Pekoske, who has been renominated to lead the agency by President Biden, was asked what he's learned in the job. The Delaware Democrat asked how the TSA is working to enhance security amid a push to improve flyer experience. Take a listen to Carper's line of questioning.
He and I worked together in this committee for a long time. He chaired the permanent subcommittee on investigations, was good enough to let me be his wingman. We did some good work, very good work. So how are you today?
I'm doing great, Senator. How are you?
Good, yeah. Thanks so much for coming by yesterday and bringing some folks from your team. And I look at the lineup behind you and I see a couple of very familiar faces, and it's always a pleasure to see them. And I like to say we're only as good as the people we have around us, and you have some exceptional people around you. My staff has given me a couple of questions that they'd like for me to ask, and I'll get to those. But I just want to start off by saying you had an opportunity to serve in this role for 5 years. What are some things that you've learned over the last 5 years that think will help you be an even more effective leader in the next 5?
Yes, sir. Every day is a learning experience in TSA because the agency is incredibly complex. We talked about in the chairman's opening statement that we're known primarily for aviation security, but even just that sentence understates the scope and the scale of what we do, because aviation means airlines and airports. It means cargo facilities that screen cargo before it gets on board aircraft, et cetera. So it's a very complex job. I endeavor to be as close to the front line of TSA as I possibly can, because I don't want to be in a setting like this speaking to the agency's process and have folks that work in TSA hearing me say that going, okay, he doesn't have that as right as we wished he would. So I want to be a credible voice for my workforce. As I said in my opening statement, sir, and we talked about this in your office, I'm humbled by the tremendous workforce that TSA has, and I view my primary responsibility is to support and enable them and to give them the tools and the technology they need to get the job done. And they serve us proud.
All right. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about Innovation Task Force. I recall, I think it was in 2015, the Transportation Security Administration created an Innovation Task Force. I think it was for a couple of reasons. One, to foster innovation, also to improve the passenger experience while trying to ensure that the agency stays ahead of the very dynamic threat environment in which we all operate and live. You have stated that this task force is collaborating, I think, with industry, with airlines, airports, equipment manufacturers, and others to try to find and deploy the very best technology to further improve security and improve the passenger experience. Could you give us an update, please, perhaps maybe some concrete examples on how this task force has responded to the evolving threat landscape by bad actors who use gaps in our defenses? And additionally, how is TSA working with international and with industry partners to enhance our security?
Yes, Senator, thanks for your comments on the Innovation Task Force. I mean, it's one of the crown jewels of TSA. It's embedded in our requirements and capabilities analysis staff within TSA headquarters, but really its reach is across the entire agency and with our entire partner set. I'll give you a couple of examples of things the Innovation Task Force has done that passengers can see now when they go through the screening process. And when you think about that, you put it in context of a government agency actually delivering capability very, very quickly that improves security and improves the passenger experience at the same time. The first example I'd give you is our new identity verification technology. And I'll even take it a step further as to where this is going over the next couple of months. We just announced a partnership with Apple where passengers can download their state driver's license in states that participate into their Apple Wallet. And you will be able to, and you can right now at BWI Airport, for example, in this area, Phoenix Airport in Arizona, when you walk up to the checkpoint, rather than handing over your driver's license or inserting your driver's license in a slot on a machine, you tap your phone and it transmits the information. So totally touchless. And what happens not infrequently is people forget their driver's licenses sometimes, but they hardly ever forget their phones. And so having this in your phone is a huge benefit, I think, to passengers, and certainly it's better security for us. The next technology is our computed tomography or CAT scan X-ray technology. What this does is it gives us a much better, much richer picture of what's in a carry-on bag. to the point where we can resolve any concerns we have generally on the screen. So we don't need to do a bag search, and passengers that use the CT technology when they go through the screening process don't have to take out liquids, aerosols, and gels or laptops, because we literally can have the machine look all around the bag to determine if there's anything in there that would cause a concern of ours. And so, we pride ourselves in working really, really closely with our partners, too. And I'll give you one final example, Senator, if I could, is, we've been working with one of the major carriers on curb-to-curb biometrics. And what this means is that a passenger can show up, these are pre-check passengers currently, can show up and use their facial image to validate that they are who they say they are. And we've really developed this technology significantly to the point where they can just check their bags with their face. That spits out a bag tag, they place it on, put it on the conveyor belt, they walk up to the screening checkpoint, use their face as their identity to get the beginning of the screening process. And then when they get to the gate to go aboard the aircraft, again, it's their face that gets them admitted onto the aircraft. And so it means there's a lot less pieces of paper and credentials that you need to carry. And for us, it's very, very much improved security posture.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. Others have asked about morale already. I'm sure they'll come back and ask that again. Whenever I fly a fair amount. Mostly take trains, but fly a lot. And almost always when I'm going through security, I talk to the TSA agents and thank them for what they do, tell them who I am and the role that I play here, and let them know that we appreciate very much what they do, and I hope others do that too. I spent a lot of years of my life before I ran for office as a naval flight officer, and was a midshipman before that, and learned a whole lot about leadership, and learned a lot about morale, how to foster good morale in the military. You've had great leadership opportunities in Coast Guard. What are some lessons that you learned there in those years that you're able to put to work now? And
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you to be fairly succinct. But
Yes, sir. Thank you for your service. I would sum it up in presence. You need to be present with your workforce. They need to see you there and to see that you're engaged in the work that they do and you understand it. Second is communications. I mean, we always say, and I'm sure you experienced this when you were in the Navy, every after-action report says communications could have been improved. We could pre-write that. So let's get ahead of that as much as we can and continue strong communications. And finally, one of the things that I think is so critically important to the smooth functioning of an organization is that everybody feels included. Nobody feels excluded, and everybody feels that they have the opportunity that their counterparts have. And I really want to foster that as I continue on, if confirmed.
okay, those are all good. Mr. Chairman, I reluctantly relinquish the gavel.